Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of Words of Paradise. I'm your host, Leon Idle, and yeah, please, by all means, like, comment, subscribe, follow me on Twitter at Words of Paradise, at, Bolt the Word. How many of you are Harry Potter fans? I was growing up, loved the books, read all of them. I became relatively disenchanted with the series after a while, though. Not because it was bad, or because of the way it ended, or anything like that, but because of the fans. Harry Potter fans got beyond annoying. You couldn't hop on Facebook or any forum or whatever without hearing, just these sad Snape fan fictions or slash fantasies. It got real annoying. People want to talk about Star Wars being a toxic fandom. I will take toxic over just sorrowful any day. There's no joy to be found in the Harry Potter fandom. But that being said, the reason I bring this up is there's a new article out. jk-rowling says, I do not consider myself canceled over controversial trans views. And I want to go over this article, maybe break it down, unpack some things. This is interesting. It's always interesting to hear what JK has to say. So let's just jump right into it. Like I said, like, comment, subscribe, and here we go. The only time I've ever made reference to being canceled, my book sales went up, author said. That's a good tagline. J.K. Rowling has said she does not consider herself canceled after criticism of her trans views. In recent years, Rowling has been a critic of gender ideology and, in her own words, women's sex-based rights. The author's well-documented views had led to intense criticism from Harry Potter stars, including Daniel-Radcliffe, who wrote an open letter decrying her views, and Katie Long. Yeah, let's talk about that. So, basically, J.K. Rowling didn't like women being called people who menstruate, because it's just an unnecessary term for woman. And Daniel Radcliffe, Emma Watson, a bunch of the younger stars, kind of threw a bit of a hissy fit, called her transphobic, whatnot. And I don't like that. I mean, you don't bite the hand that feeds you. They more or less grew up with this woman. From what I remember, she was heavily involved in the casting, heavily involved on set. They got to know her. She brought their characters to life, or they brought her characters to life. And I mean, Daniel Radcliffe's a great actor. I recently watched Weird, the Al Yankovic biopic, and it was fantastic. Guns Akimbo is great. Swiss Army Man was weird but very interesting. He's a great actor. I can't really say the same about Emma Watson. She was in that god awful Sleeping Beauty Beauty and the Beast live action remake, and it was abysmal. So maybe not everybody from Harry Potter went on to do great things, but Daniel Radcliffe's great. And Helena Bonham Carter made a comment recently about how they're part of the younger generation. They have to say what they have to say, and that she is part of a different generation. She, as in J.K. Rowling, let her say what she wants to, and basically just let everyone have their opinions. I agree with that. Perfectly reasonable from Helena Bonham Carter. I think that's a fantastic take. Just because you have an opinion doesn't mean someone else should be silenced for theirs on either side of the aisle. But that's what it looks like Daniel and Emma Watson and them are trying to do by distancing themselves from J.K. Rowling, even though she is the one that made them the multi-millionaires they are today. Let's keep reading. Hermione actor Emma Watson also seemingly referred to the subject at the BAFTAs earlier this year by telling the crowd she is here for all the witches. This is the problem with the Harry Potter fandom, in my opinion. You guys know you're not witches and wizards, right? Like, I didn't get my Hogwarts letter, but it's okay because Voldemort destroyed the Ministry of Magic's records from this year to this year. No, it's not real. I'm a Star Wars fan, and I'm not saying they're not out there, but I've never met a Star Wars fan that believes they're a Jedi or believes they're from space or anything like that. Like I said, I know it's technically an official religion, at least recognized in the UK, but I look at that as like Pastafarianism. It's kind of just like absurd but cool to be part of that crowd. Or maybe cool isn't the right word, but you get what I'm saying. Point is, people can talk about the Star Wars being toxic, but I would take toxic over, completely insane any day. However, in a new interview, Rowling has declared, I do not consider myself canceled. She told Letters from Suzanne, "The only time I've ever made reference to being canceled, my book sales went up. Why am I even laughing? I can't believe I'm saying these words, but you have to mock them." I mean, hell yeah. If your sales went up, more power to you. Get that bread, girl. Like, I'm in full support of anyone going out there and using their talents to make money. You know, Daniel-Radcliffe wants to talk a bunch of dumb shit about her being a transphobe, make a movie and make millions of dollars. Make that money, man. jk-rowling wants to talk about being canceled and all of a sudden her book sales shoot up. Make that money, girl. Like, I just want people to succeed. The backlash against the author, who has set up a new support center for the female survivors of sexual violence in Edinburgh and the Lothians, appeared to begin in June 2020 after the author called out an article's use of the phrase, people who menstruate. This is what I was referring to earlier. She wrote, "I'm sure there used to be a word for these people. Someone help me out. Wombin, wimpund, womud." I don't know what this means. I'm not British. These might be British terms. But yeah, basically people who menstruate. And she called them out, in my opinion, rightfully so, because we have a word for that. Woman or women. If you want to be trans or whatnot, by all means, like that's your right. Go for it. No one's telling you can't. But we shouldn't need to bend a language for something that doesn't apply to you. I mean, if you're trans, male to female, you don't menstruate. I mean, I say that, I could be ignorant, and maybe there's some little implant they put in you where you do or whatever, but it wouldn't serve a biological purpose. Like, you don't release eggs because you don't have eggs. It has nothing to do with ovaries because you don't have ovaries. Like, you don't need to say people who menstruate 5 syllables when you could say women, 2 syllables. That's what she's getting at, this needlessly complicating language to serve 2% of Twitter. Like, it's dumb. It really is. And I'm sure Rowling has been progressive her entire life. I'm sure she has got trans friends, will call you by the pronouns you want to be called, will refer to you by whatever name, that way she doesn't dead name you. It seems like she was insisting upon not just changing language for the sake of changing language when it doesn't even applicably fit, which, I mean, I agree. People who menstruate is just a dumb way to say women. While there was a contingent of Twitter users who supported Rowling for her tweet, there were plenty, including numerous celebrities, who criticized her comment as anti-trans and transphobic, arguing that trans men, non-binary, and non-gender conforming people can also menstruate. No, they can't. Or if they can, I was going to say prove it to me, but I'll be honest, I don't want to see it. Maybe that's transphobic of me. Don't know, don't care. But yeah, non-binary, non-gender conforming people can also menstruate. That's literally female biology. I mean, I guess non-binary people can if you're biologically female. I'll give you that. Non-binary / non-gender conforming people can menstruate. But you know what? I'm sorry. You are biologically female. The word woman is fine. We don't need to attack a term that has been recognized for years. A word that has a definition for 2% of the population's delicate sensibilities. In the new interview, Rowling said, "I have no irrational fear or hatred towards trans people in the slightest," which I assumed earlier. As God knows, I've said so many times. She has. Earlier this year, Ralph Fiennes defended Rowling from death threats she received in response to reviews. That was the guy that played Hagrid, I believe. And yeah, he was one of the few to take her side. While Helena Bonham Carter, I brought this up earlier, said, "I think Rowling has been hounded. It's been taken to the extreme, the judgmentalism of people. She's allowed her opinion, particularly if she's suffered abuse." Exactly. It's not like Rowling is out there pulling a yay and being like, "I like Hitler." No, she's just has an opinion on language and what makes being a woman special. I think that's fantastic of her, There are going to be differences between men and women, and we should absolutely acknowledge the beauty and grace and just differences in women, things that they can do that we can't. I would never want to go through childbirth. Like, she's getting all this abuse for being transphobic when there's no evidence of her being transphobic. She has always been pro-trans. It seems like she wants language to be consistent. Well, language should be consistent. It's how we communicate. Miscommunication is the reason for so many arguments. So the most consistent, clear, and concise language we have is important. And that seems to be the end of the article. Let's see if there's any comments down here that need... No? No, just ads? Yeah, I like going through what other folks had to think and say, but I guess not in this one. Well, at the end of the day, that's this article. Tell me what you think about it. I mean, obviously, my views are that J.K. Rowling, even as somebody who's not a Harry Potter fan and hasn't been for years, is being unfairly given the business, has been unfairly given the business for years, is being dragged when she shouldn't be, all for an opinion that in 5 years, who knows where the world's going to be at. I mean, 5 years ago, I guess 10 years ago, this never would have been an issue. Now, you could say we're moving in the right direction, that's progress, that's an issue now, but I don't believe that. I don't believe that making issues out of things small like this, when there's actual problems in the world, is beneficial. And so yeah, I stand with J.K. Rowling, with Helena Bonham Carter, with the late Ralph Fiennes, and I will say that this is nonsense. I'm glad she has not considered herself canceled. She has no reason to consider herself canceled. She's still making money hand over fist, far more than I'll ever have, that's for sure. And until then, we'll cover the next bit of news. Who knows what it's going to be related to. I love covering Magic the Gathering, Star Wars, movies, anything in the nerdosphere. Until then, please like, comment, subscribe to Words of Paradise. Follow me on Twitter at BoltTheWord. Have a good rest of your day.